Hello, everyone. Today we will be going over the anatomical regions. So again, as I have been talking about, this diagram that we're looking at right now is going to be the most important diagram you will get. Maybe I'm exaggerating here by saying this year, but it is super important. Okay, so knowing all these terms for the different regions of the body are going to be very important for you, not just during this chapter, but all year. So just like with the relative positions, this is another part of chapter 1 that you need all year. So it is so important for you to know these regions. Okay, so this is a little different than the diagram you have in your book. This is an older one, but I honestly like this a little bit better than the one that is in the book. So we're going to use this one. So you can see that the larger regions, which are composed of some of these smaller ones, are going to be bolded. Okay, so starting out the cephalic region, that is the entirety of the head. Cervical is the neck. Thoracic is going to be the chest. Abdominal is going to be the abdominal region here. Pelvic is slightly below that in the region of the pelvis. Pubic, okay, for the external genitals. The upper limb is going to be the arm. Manus is the hand. Lower limb is the leg. Pedal is the foot. Okay, and then the only other one we have here is the back. That one's easy. That is the back. Okay, so let's break down each of the smaller parts then. So here we have frontal. So frontal is the forehead. Orbital is going to be the eye. Nasal is the nose. Oral is the mouth. And mental, this is a weird one. Mental is the chin. Okay, you might think mental, like somebody thinking up here in their brain, but mental is actually going to refer to the mandible, which is down here. Okay, so mental is your chin. Okay, cervical is neck. Sternal is the center of the chest, where your sternum is located. Axillary is the armpit. And mammary is going to be the lateral portion of the chest, which would be the location of the mammary glands. Okay, so the mammary is the lateral portion of the chest. Umbilical is the specific area, so where the belly button is. So again, pelvic is just below the abdominal region. Inguinal will be below the pelvic, but a little bit laterally too. So it's not just necessarily here, but out here. So where your groin is located. And again, the pubic region will be the location of genitalia. Next, we have the upper limb. The acromial region is the shoulder. Brachial is your arm, okay, but it's your upper arm. Then we have, for the elbow, two different terms, one for the anterior portion and one for the posterior portion. So if we look here at my elbow, and this might be hard to see, but right here, so the inside of your elbow, that is the antecubital region. And then on the outside, so the outside of your elbow is the olecramal region. Okay, so inside of the elbow is antecubital, and the outside is olecramal. As you move down your arm, so your forearm is the antebrachial. So upper arm is brachial, forearm is antebrachial. The wrist is carpal. And then when we get down to the hand, there are a few different regions. So the thumb is called pollex. The back of the hand is metacarpal. The palm of the hand is palmar. And then the fingers are digital, okay? Fingers are going to be the same as the toes. The toes are also digital if we come down here, okay? So now with the lower limb, coxal, that's going to be the side of the hip. It's like the point of your hip. That is the location of your hip bones, okay, at least the outside portion. Femoral is your thigh. It's your whole thigh. And then your knee, just like your elbow, has two different regions, one for the anterior and one for posterior. So the front of the knee is the patellar region. That's where your patella is. And then the back of the knee is called popliteal. All right, then we get down to the calf, and the calf is a little bit more tricky. So the front of this portion of your leg is called crural, and then the back is called sural. All right, it's tricky, but the way that I like to remember is, okay, the back of your leg you call your calf, the front of your leg you call your shin. Well, these terms unfortunately don't work out super well, but you can just remember them as being the opposite. So the calf is sural and the shin is crural. So S goes with C. So the shin is crural and the calf is sural. So just remember that it's not CC and it's not SS, it's C plus S. So whichever one it is, it's going to have the opposite letter for the term. Hopefully that made sense. Now the outside of the lower portion of your leg is called the fibular. We're not going to worry about peroneal because that's just going to get you confused with perineal. So don't worry about peroneal. Let's remember this as fibular. And this is easy because that is where your fibula is located. All right, then we move down to the foot. So the tarsal region is your ankle. And then we get to calcaneal, which is your heel. Metatarsal, just like with your hand, okay, the metatarsal is going to be the top of your foot. And then the underneath portion of your foot is plantar. And then your big toe or great toe is called hallux. Okay, so now we get to the posterior portion of the body. We've talked about most of these already, but there's two other portions of your head. So otic is your ear, and then occipital is the back of your head. Then when we get to your back, scapular, that is going to be, again, the lateral and upper portion of your back, near where your scapula are. Vertebral is the more medial portion of your back, where your vertebrae would be. Lumbar is your lower, your lower lateral portion of your back, okay, outside of the vertebral area. Sacral is below the vertebral area where your sacrum is. Gluteal, for the lack of a better word, is your butt, okay? And then perineal is going to be the region between the anus and the external genitalia. Okay, so for some of these, for example, brachial, antebrachial with the arm and the forearm, femoral for the thigh, as well as cervical, these are used whether you're talking about the front or the back. But in a lot of these other places, it's differentiated, okay, especially between the front portion of your torso and the back portion of your torso, the front and back of your hand or your elbow, your knee or your foot, that changes, okay? But in regions like your thigh, femoral is the term used for the whole region, front or back. Same thing with cervical, brachial, and antebrachial. So that was a quick rundown of all these, and we are going to continue to practice with this because, like I said, this is super important. This is not going to be something that we only spend one day on over the computer. We're going to spend at least 1 or 2 more days in class working with these. So after today, I want you to study these over the next few days and know them for the next time that I see you in class. Okay, for N through Z group, that's going to be on Friday. And for 8th rel, that's going to be on Monday. So by the time you come into class on those 2 days, you better know these pretty well. All right, and that is all for today's video. So if you have any questions, send me an email, but go ahead now and complete the Google form.